The word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. And God said, "Do not be afraid, Abram, because I am your shield and I am your very great reward." And Abram says, "But God, what could you even give me? You say you're going to give me a great reward, but what will I even do with that reward? Because I don't have any descendants. And there's going to be a servant in my house who is going to inherit all of my possessions." So that seems kind of like, why would I even want a great reward? And God says, no, it's not going to be one of your servants who is your descendant. It is going to be one of your own children from your own body. And go out and look at the stars and see if you can count them. Because the truth is that you will have so many descendants that you will not be able to count them, just like the stars in the sky. And even though this seems like a ridiculous thing that God says, because Abram doesn't have any children, Abram believes God anyway, and this is righteousness for Abram. Also, I might call him Abraham on accident, but his name has not been changed. He's still Abram. And God says, "I am the same God who brought you out of the land Ur of the Chaldeans and into this land. And this land right now, it's not your own, but this is my promise to you. This is going to be your land." And Abram says, "That's amazing. I love this promise, but how can I know that I will take possession of it?" And God says, "Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram. All of them should be 3 years old, and also bring me a young dove and a young pigeon." So Abram brings all of those animals and cuts them in half and lays them before the Lord. But he doesn't cut the birds in half. He just lays them out. And when the sun sets, Abram falls into a deep sleep. And a thick darkness comes over the land, and God says to Abram, "The truth is that your descendants are going to be slaves in a faraway land, and they will be mistreated for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that oppresses them, and I will give them great treasure when I deliver them out of that land, and I will bring them back to this land, the land I have promised you. But in the meantime, you are just going to grow old peacefully, and you are going to be buried in peace in your land. And I will bring your descendants back to this land that I have promised you, a land flowing with milk and honey." And then when the sun went down and it was very dark, there came a great smoking fire pot. Didn't really know what a fire pot is, so this is just a pot with fire in it. And there was a torch. And these things passed through the animals that Abram had cut in half, while Abram was there sleeping. And God said, "I am giving you this land from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates." Now, I know this isn't really true. The river of Egypt actually comes out of like the Mediterranean, but that's how I'm drawing it. "And all of this land will be given to your descendants." So Abram went home and he told his wife Sarai about what God had told him. And she says, "Oh, that is so amazing. But I'm barren and I can't have any children. So this is what you should do. You should have a baby with my maidservant, Hagar." And Abram says, "That's a great idea. I'll do that." So he goes and Hagar becomes pregnant. She starts to hate her mistress, Sarai. And Sarai comes to Abram and says, "Hagar is mistreating me because now she is pregnant and I've not been able to get pregnant." And Abram says, "Well, she's your servant. Do whatever you want with her." So Sarai starts to be cruel and mean to Hagar. I don't know if she beat her. This is a whip just to demonstrate that she's being mean. And Sarai was so mean to Hagar that Hagar ran away, and she ran into the desert. And she lay down by a spring and was crying. And an angel came to Sarai there by the spring. And he said, "Hagar, why are you crying?" And Hagar says, "Because my mistress has been so mean to me, and I'm pregnant, and I'm here alone in the desert, and I don't know what to do." And the angel says, "Go back and submit to your mistress Sarai. You are pregnant, and you are going to have a son. And he is going to become a great nation. And you should name your son Ishmael, because God has seen your misery and heard your tears. And he is going to be a wild donkey of a man. And he is going to be in constant conflict with his brothers. And they will be against him, and he will be against his brothers." And Hagar gave God a name there by the well. She said, "God is the one who sees me." And the well is called Bir Lahai Roi. And Hagar went back to her mistress and submitted to her. And she had a son, and he was named Ishmael, just as the angel told her. And she had this son when Abram was 86 years old. And then, a little while later, when Abram was 99 years old, God appears to him again. And God says, "I am the Lord. I am the one who brought you out of the land of the Chaldeans into this land. And I have some rules for you to follow, and you need to follow them. And I am going to give you all of this land to you and to your descendants, as I promised you in the past. And here is what you must do. You and all of the males in your house, people who were born in your house, or people who were bought and are your slaves, or people who have come along the way and decided to live with you, all of these men must be circumcised. And ever after this, whenever a man is born in your household, he must be circumcised on the 8th day. And I will give you a new name, and I will give your wife Sarai a new name. These will not be your names anymore, but you will be called Abraham, and she will be called Sarah, because you will be the father and the mother of many great nations. And Abram says, oh, if only my son Ishmael could have favor in your eyes, and if he could be a great nation and be blessed by you. And God says, yes, Ishmael will be blessed, but Isaac is the one who I am going to give my covenant to. Remember when I came to you and I was like a fire pot and a torch? That's the covenant I am going to give it to your son, and his name is going to be Isaac, because everybody laughs when I tell them about this, and everyone will laugh when they hear about this, because you're 99 and your wife Sarah is 90 years old. And your son Isaac, he is going to be the father of 12 rulers, and he will be a great nation. And in fact, I will come back to you next year, and at that time, your wife Sarah is going to have her son. And Abraham believed God, and he did what God had asked, and so he went on that very same day, and he had all of the men of his household come, and they were all circumcised together on that day. And Abraham was 99 when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. And God appeared to Abraham again shortly after that, by the great tree where Abraham had his tent. And he appeared as 3 men, while Abraham was sitting there by his tent in the heat of the day. And Abraham gets up and he goes to the men and he says, please come, I will bring some water so you can wash your feet, and I will prepare some food so that you can eat with me and be refreshed. And the men agree. And so Abraham goes off and he talks to his wife Sarah, and he says, quick, Sarah, prepare some bread for these men who just arrived. And he goes to one of his servants and says, hey, quick, go kill that fatted calf and prepare it for these men who just arrived. And he comes back to the men with some curds and some milk and with the prepared food for them, and they all sit down and they enjoy some food. I realize this tent is having some perspective problems because of the way that I have my camera set up, so let's just make this look a little less awkward. There we go. That looks better. And the Lord says to Abraham, where is your wife Sarah? And Abraham says, oh, she's just right inside the tent. Actually, she was eavesdropping. And God says to Abraham, I am going to come back to you at this same time next year, and Sarah will have a son. And Sarah's in the tent laughing to herself, thinking, how could I ever have a baby when I am so old and my husband is so old and we're all just old and worn out, and now we're going to get to have a baby? And God says, why did Sarah laugh when she heard she was going to have a baby? And Sarah's afraid of the Lord, and she pokes her head out of the tent and she says, I did not laugh. And the Lord said, yes, you did laugh.